So how much water do you think we're using indirectly and directly each day?
I think we're using more directly than indirectly. I would have to say maybe, I don't, 100,000 gallons directly and maybe like 75,000 indirectly.
Wow.
I don't know.
Directly each day in gallons.
How much do I think I use? Or just, I think I use probably about 100 gallons.
100 gallons?
Maybe.
It's actually 2,100 gallons.
Wow.
Directly each day.
Like individually in gallons?
Yes.
I want to say 10.
10 gallons a day.
10 gallons. I have no idea. I've never thought about it
So it's
before.
actually 2,100 gallons each day.
Individually, per person.
Directly and indirectly.
Holy smokes, that's a lot.
What is it that you take to flush a toilet?
So
We have actually an old one, so it's actually more efficient than most. Usually, no, the newer ones you have to flush more than once. It seems, but once and then you're done. So whatever that is, take a shower pretty much every day, right? We cook. I can't say I use too much water for cooking because there's a lot of olive oil, so we're all Mediterranean. So if you're boiling, maybe a gallon a day. I wouldn't say I use more than that.
1 gallon.
1 gallon.
Well, we actually use 2,100 gallons
For
each
cooking?
day. Not for cooking.
Okay, I mean for cooking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say more than that because I try to eat my food. So, but then you're washing vegetables, so you have to count another gallon for that. Okay, at least 2 gallons a day. I'm trying to think. So we talked about the toilet, talked about bathing, washing clothing. We don't wash every day, probably every other day. There's 6 of us in the house, so probably quite a bit every other day using the washing machine, whatever that is. And watering our garden. Can't say the poor grass gets too much, but the garden we water every day. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else I missed?
So if you combine that all together, how much water do you think you use?
The gallons? I'm trying to remember how many gallons it takes to when you flush a toilet. Do you know?
7.
7 gallons. Oh my gosh. If we go by that, pretty bad with 6 people. So I mean, you're saying if they use the toilet
You can think about just
3 times a day, right there, you're talking 7 gallons. So you're talking 6 times 3 is 18 times 7 right there. And then, what about a washing machine? You have to have the other.
I think it was
Washing was
54.
33.
33, so say 16 gallons, 17 gallons a day if you average that like every day, if you do it every other day. And then that would be a couple of months every 2 days. So that 66 gallons for that every 2 days. So that would be 33 a day, I suppose. Well, that's quite a bit. I don't know. That's probably over 100 gallons a day.
100 gallons. So we actually with 2,100 gallons each day. So this is also including.
Wow, I'm way off.
So guess how much water do you think we use virtually? So indirectly and directly each day.
Each day. I don't know, probably around like 100, 50 to 70 liters.
Liters? Okay. So 152 you said? 152?
Yeah, 170.
170. So we actually use around 2,100 gallons each day. So around 7,000 liters.
Each day?
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
Typically, vegetarian diets are broken into 3 or more groups. Include lacto-ovo-vegetarians, whose diet include eating dairy products and eggs, lacto-vegetarians who eat dairy but avoid eggs, and vegan vegetarians, those who avoid animal products altogether. According to the Water Footprint Network's study, vegans use about 445 gallons per day. Vegetarians use about 520 gallons per day, and the average meat eater uses about 1,081 gallons per day. The baseline for our calculator's average American dietary water footprint is based on research and statistics from the Water Footprint Network's study of national water footprints. Water Footprints Network estimates account for both domestically grown and processed foods as well as imported food. For serving sizes, we rely on the U.S. Department of Agricultural Food Guide Pyramid. One serving of beef, poultry, pork is about 3 ounces. One serving of milk is about 1 cup. According to their analysis of the individual products, the global average water footprint for 1 pound of beef is roughly 1,799 gallons of water. For chicken, it's 468 gallons of water. For 1 pound of pork product, it's 576 gallons of water. And 1 gallon of milk is 880 gallons of water. The average person consumes roughly 1.5 gallons of water a day directly. If you drink more or less, the calculating user must account for the amount of gallons they consume daily, not ounces. Cooking is also another major factor in regard to one's diet. The amount of water from the tap I use in my home ran at 2.2 gallons per minute. If you were to wash a container of strawberries for a minute or grapes, you would use approximately 2.2 gallons of water. The following video will further explain my reasoning.
That was 1 gallon. That was 2 gallons. So we used about 2.2 gallons to wash the grapes.
Run away from the dogs to avoid the sailors. Get away from the dogs to avoid the sailors. Don't wanna get in the game with the young boys there. Stay away from the dogs to avoid the sailors. Run away from the dogs to avoid the sailors. Get away from the dogs to avoid the sailors. Don't wanna get in the game with the young boys there. Stay away from the dogs to avoid the sailors.
Keona measured what a typical college student uses on a daily basis for their household and hygiene use. Keona measured the water her shower uses at the rate of gallons per minute. Other factors such as laundry, your toilet, your bath, soap, and toothpaste were used from the water footprint network. Keona also measured how much water her bathroom sink uses at the rate of 3 gallons per minute. Lastly, Keona concluded that the average number of loads for dishes takes about 10 gallons a day.
So this is your average American plastic water bottle that's approximately 16 fluid ounces, whereas 3 times the volume amount is needed to produce the water bottle itself. Whereas this is my glass water bottle that I can refill every time I'm thirsty in a machine like this. And as I'm filling my water bottle up, this machine itself has saved the planet 10,073 plastic bottles. So times that by 3, and we'll see how much water we've saved just by using this machine alone.
We found that it takes 7 gallons of water for 1 gallon of gas, so you multiply by the number of miles driven. For a professional car wash, it takes approximately 21 gallons of water for each car. To To find the amount of water used to wash your car yourself, you would multiply 4.695 gallons by the amount of minutes it takes to wash your car. You will see my calculations in the following video. I found that amount of time in seconds it would take to fill 1 gallon, so you would convert that to minutes.
To see how much water is wasted when washing your car at home with a hose, I'm going to measure how long it takes to fill 1 gallon of water. So it takes 12.78 seconds to fill 1 gallon of water.
To determine the water usage for electricity, I found the kilowatts used for various electrical appliances online. And for each kilowatt, 25.0963 gallons of water is used. So, for example, a refrigerator that is 225 watts uses 1.8 kilowatts per day. So I times 1.8 times 25.0963 gallons of water to get 45.17334 gallons of water used per day for that refrigerator.
As a team, we decided that it was important to include another category. We included paper, coffee, and your typical recyclable items. Research shows that it takes roughly 3 gallons of water to produce 1 sheet of paper and roughly 55 gallons to produce 1 cup of coffee. If you were to recycle, you would subtract from your total water footprint. A piece of paper would save roughly 2 gallons of water, and a plastic bottle would save the planet 5 gallons of water.
My experience in calculating my water footprint for a week is different than everyone else because of our different lifestyles. So for me, I don't have any diet restrictions, so I can eat different kinds of meat and products that other people can't, which increases my water usage daily. I cook all my meals at home, therefore I waste water in boiling, washing, and cleaning dishes. On the weekends, I spend less water than on weekdays because I have to go to Wayne State and have to drive 134 miles and waste 938 gallons of water on transportation alone. I live very far and get dropped off at school instead of driving myself, so that wastes double the amount of water in driving. Something that I do to try to save water is that I recycle my plastic bottles and cans and donate clothes and toys that I don't use anymore.
Since all of us have different lifestyles, our results varied very much in how much water we used. For example, I'm a vegetarian, so vegetarians use much less water than meat eaters, and vegans use even less. So I used 520 gallons of water per day. Like on average, that's the statistic for vegetarians. So that was a really big difference between all of us. And then also, I live in Muskegon, so on weekends I go home. So on Sunday night, I had a lot of gas mileage, and so that contributed to a bigger water footprint for me than my average. Also, some limitations of the water footprint project for me was light bulbs. I didn't know how many to account for and really how many hours all of those were being used. So I think that one is probably inaccurate for me.
I consider myself to be a fairly water conscientious person. I take fast showers, turn off the sink when brushing my teeth, and drink primarily tap water to reduce my water footprint. However, with the recent trend in water footprinting, I was curious to see exactly how much water someone like me, who keeps a fairly close eye on water usage, uses each day. To give you a rough overview on how easily we can waste water, I will walk you through the first 45 minutes of my daily morning. I wake up in the morning and like most Americans, I eat breakfast. The cup of milk I drink takes about 55 gallons of water respectively. The one egg I ate takes about another 53 gallons of water to produce. Lastly, the banana I ate takes roughly 19 gallons of water. After my breakfast, I do take roughly an 8-minute shower each morning, and that accounts for another 3 gallons of water used per minute. If I also take into account brushing my teeth and washing my face, of course, that would take another 4 gallons of water used each morning. So at about now, within 45 minutes, just 45 minutes, I've used over 150 gallons of water. And this is not including my lunch, my dinner, what I drink on a daily basis, etc. I calculated my water footprint for 3 days throughout the same week. Starting on June 10th, I found my water footprint to be the lowest of the 3 days. Considering it was a Sunday, one of the major factors to consider was that I was not commuting to Wayne State that day. For every mile driven, roughly 7 gallons of water is wasted. This is one major reason why variance did occur. Once you are considered a meat eater, one's water footprint is much greater than one who is considered a vegan or vegetarian. I consider my water footprint for the most part to be somewhat accurate and a great representation of myself. My water footprint may vary from others because I am a practicing Muslim, and like most practicing Muslims, we do only eat halal meat. This is primarily one of the reasons why my water footprint data did differ from other people in the group. For example, Alexandra, who does not have any diet constrictions.
Okay, well, when I'm using my own water that I'm responsible for paying for, I tend to use a lot more water because I know my own budget. However, when I live with my mom, I noticed that I tend to use a lot less water because it wasn't my money and it was not my bill to pay. So I noticed that I used a lot less. So basically it depends whether it's me or someone else's bill that's going to be contained with the water. Okay, so Sunday I don't really do much throughout the day. I don't really use a lot of water. I don't eat a lot. And for instance, I don't eat breakfast or lunch. I maybe eat once a day and I would have some snacks because I'm not very active. However, when my water usage really comes into full swing is when I'm using my electronics. Like I use my computer all day, I'll leave the lights on, but in overall, as far as ingesting water, I hardly use any because Sunday is a very low activity day. That's what made Sunday specifically distinctive in my water footprint project. Thank you.
Conducting the water footprint project really gave us perspective into how much water we use. And that's a colossal amount of water that each human being is using. So it kind of speaks to how we need to cut down on that water usage so we can sustain the human population and provide for future generations.
One way we can actually reduce our water footprint individually is by eating smaller portions of meat daily, or maybe no meat at all. For example, Meatless Monday.
Yeah.
Another way that we could reduce water usage is carpooling. So if I know somebody that's going to Wayne State also the same day, I could carpool with them and that would save water and cut the water usage by half.
Right. I just think it's a really important issue. It's a global issue that we need to be aware of so that we can sustain ourselves.